Dr. Lisa Kane walked through the glass corridors of Europa Station with the same quiet confidence she had shown every day for the past 3 years. The massive research facility orbited Jupiter's moon, home to the Galactic Science Institute, where the brightest minds from across known space gathered to push the boundaries of knowledge. Lisa fit in perfectly among the brilliant scientists. Yet something about her always felt different. Professor Veltar, a tall, blue-skinned Zephyrian with 4 arms and large dark eyes, watched Lisa enter the main laboratory. The Zephyrians were known throughout the galaxy for their logical minds and analytical abilities. They rarely showed emotion. But Veltar found himself curious about the human woman who seemed to solve problems that stumped even the most advanced alien minds. Lisa's credentials were perfect. Too perfect, some whispered. Her education records showed degrees from Earth's best universities, stellar grades, and recommendation letters from respected professors. But when other researchers tried to dig deeper, they found nothing else. No childhood friends who remembered her. No family members who spoke of her early genius. No professors who could recall her groundbreaking student work. It was as if Lisa Kane had simply appeared at age 25 with a complete academic history, but no actual past. The human research community on Europa Station was small but tight-knit. Most of the scientists had grown up together on Earth or its colonies, sharing stories of their early discoveries and embarrassing academic failures. Lisa never shared such stories. When asked about her childhood, she would smile politely and change the subject. When pressed about her research methods, she would say she preferred to work alone. Dr. Ben Clark, friendly xenobiologist from Texas, had tried many times to get Lisa to open up during their coffee breaks. Ben studied alien life forms and was naturally curious about everything, including his mysterious colleague. He noticed that Lisa never seemed surprised by new discoveries. When other scientists made breakthrough announcements, Lisa would nod, as if she had been expecting the results. When alien colleagues shared insights about their homeworlds, Lisa would ask questions that showed she already understood, concepts that should have been completely foreign to humans. The real mystery. Deep in during Lisa's first major presentation to the Institute, she had requested time to address the quarterly assembly, where the galaxy's top scientists gathered to share their latest work. The auditorium was packed with beings from dozens of different worlds. Zephyrians sat next to insectoid corvins, while gaseous Etherians floated in special containment units designed for their atmospheric needs. Lisa stood at the podium wearing a simple blue dress, her brown hair pulled back in a practical ponytail. She looked ordinary compared to the exotic alien scientists in the audience, but when she began to speak, the room fell completely silent. She talked about the quantum entanglement paradox, a problem that had puzzled scientists for over 200 years. The paradox dealt with how particles could remain connected across vast distances, sharing information faster than light could travel. Every major civilization had tried to solve it. Brilliant minds had spent entire lifetimes working on pieces of the puzzle. Lisa solved it in 30 minutes. Her explanation was simple and elegant. She used basic mathematics that any graduate student could follow, but she combined concepts in ways that no one had ever considered. She showed how quantum particles weren't really separate entities at all, but rather different aspects of a single, multi-dimensional structure that existed outside normal space-time. The audience was stunned. Professor Veltar actually stood up and began to applaud, something that shocked everyone who knew the normally emotionless Zephyrian. Dr. Vekmer, a brilliant Corvin engineer, made rapid clicking sounds that indicated extreme excitement in his species, but Lisa wasn't finished. She began discussing practical applications of her solution. She talked about communication systems that could send messages instantly across the galaxy. She described energy sources that could tap into the quantum foundation of reality itself. She mentioned transportation methods that could move objects through folded space-time. The concepts she described were beyond anything current galactic science could achieve. They were theoretical possibilities that might be developed in hundreds or thousands of years. Yet Lisa spoke about them as if she were describing simple mechanical devices. When the presentation ended, the questions came rapidly. Scientists wanted to know about her research methods, her data sources, her experimental procedures. Lisa answered each question with patience, but her responses only created more mysteries. She mentioned experiments that would require equipment. That didn't exist. She referenced mathematical principles that hadn't been discovered yet. She spoke about quantum mechanics as if she had personally observed subatomic particles behaving in ways that current instruments couldn't detect. Captain Jake Miller of the Federation research vessel Aurora had been in the audience that day. The 38-year-old captain commanded one of Starfleet's most advanced exploration ships, and he had been sent to Europa Station to recruit scientists for a classified mission. He was looking for researchers who could think beyond conventional limits, and Lisa Kane clearly fit that description. After the presentation, Jake approached Lisa in the station's observation lounge. Large windows showed Jupiter's swirling red and brown clouds, while smaller moons drifted like distant stars in the black sky. "Dr. Kane," Jake said, extending his hand. "That was an impressive presentation. I'm Captain Miller, from the Aurora." Lisa shook his hand and smiled, but Jake noticed her grip was unusually firm for someone who spent her time in laboratories. "Thank you, Captain. Assume you're here about the deep space research mission I've been hearing rumors about." Jake was surprised. The mission was classified, and he hadn't mentioned it to anyone on the station yet. "How did you know about that?" "Lucky guess," Lisa replied, but her eyes showed she was being less than truthful. "What kind of research are you planning?" Jake studied her face carefully. "We've detected some unusual energy signatures near the Galactic Rim. Patterns that don't match anything in our databases. We need theoretical physicists who can think creatively about unknown phenomena." Lisa's expression changed suddenly. The color drained from her face, and her hands began to tremble. Slightly. For just a moment, her composed demeanor cracked, revealing something that looked almost like fear. "What kind of energy patterns?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. Jake hadn't planned to share specific details, but Lisa's reaction intrigued him. It's quantum fluctuations that seem to pulse in mathematical sequences. Energy levels that spike beyond what our instruments can measure. Gravitational anomalies that suggest the presence of massive structures that our sensors can't detect. Lisa closed her eyes and took a deep breath. When she opened them again, her professional composure had returned, but Jake could see she was working hard to maintain it. "Have you detected any artificial signals?" she asked. "Complex mathematical transmissions that might be attempting communication?" Jake stared at her. He hadn't mentioned anything about signals. The detection of possible artificial transmissions was one of the mission's most closely guarded secrets. "Dr. Kane," he said slowly, "how could you possibly know about that?" Lisa was quiet for a long moment, staring out at Jupiter's massive form. When she finally spoke, her voice carried a weight that seemed too heavy for someone so young. "Because I think I've been waiting my whole life for someone to find them." 6 months later, Lisa Kane stood in the main laboratory of the Federation starship Aurora as it traveled through deep space toward the Galactic Rim. The ship was massive, designed for long-range exploration missions that could last years. Crew of 200 included humans, Zephyrians, Corvins, and several other species, all working together to investigate the mysterious energy signatures that had puzzled. Federation scientist Commander Amy Peterson ran the Aurora with military precision, but she had noticed something strange about her newest crew member. Lisa spent most of her time staring out the observation windows, watching the stars drift past as they traveled deeper into unexplored space. Amy had read Lisa's personnel file dozens of times, but it only raised more questions. The woman was brilliant, solving technical problems that stumped the ship's best engineers. Yet she seemed to know things she shouldn't know. Dr. Ben Clark had volunteered for the mission specifically to work with Lisa again. The xenobiologist found her fascinating not just as a scientist, but as a puzzle he couldn't solve. During their long journey, he watched Lisa work with the ship's alien crew members. She communicated with the Corvin engineers using technical concepts that most humans couldn't understand. She discussed philosophy with the Zephyrian researchers as if she had studied their culture for decades. The strangest part was how Lisa seemed to anticipate problems before they happened. When the ship's quantum drive began showing irregular readings, Lisa appeared in the engine room with detailed modification plans before anyone had called for help. When the navigation computer started calculating incorrect jump coordinates, Lisa had already prepared new algorithms to fix the errors. Chief Engineer Dickmer, a six-legged corvin with metallic green skin, was amazed by Lisa's technical knowledge. Corvins were known throughout the galaxy for their engineering skills, yet Lisa understood their technology better than most of his own species. She made modifications to the Aurora's systems that improved efficiency by 30%, using principles that weren't in any Federation database. How does she know these things? Detmer asked Commander Peterson during a weekly briefing. The modifications she made to our quantum drive shouldn't be possible with current human technology. Some of the concepts she used are beyond even Corvin science. Amy had been wondering the same thing. She had been a starship commander for 15 years. She had never met anyone quite like Lisa Kane. The woman was helpful, professional, and incredibly intelligent. But there was something otherworldly about her knowledge. The mystery deepened as they approached their destination. Lisa began experiencing what she called headaches. Amy noticed they occurred exactly when the ship's sensors detected increases in the unknown energy signatures they were investigating. Lisa would disappear to her quarters for hours, claiming she needed to rest. When she returned, she always brought new technical specifications or equipment modifications that seemed to come from nowhere. "I've been having strange dreams," Lisa told Ben during one of their conversations in the ship's mess hall. "Technical blueprints, mathematical equations, architectural plans for structures I've never seen. It's like someone is trying to teach me something while I sleep." Ben was concerned about his friend's health, but the medical scans showed nothing wrong with Lisa's brain or nervous system. If anything, her neural activity was more organized and efficient than normal human patterns. Dr. Karen White, the ship's chief medical officer, had never seen brain scans quite like Lisa's. "Her neural pathways are incredibly complex," Karen explained to Amy. "It's as if her brain is processing information on multiple levels simultaneously. She's using parts of her mind that most humans never access." The breakthrough came when they finally reached the source of the energy signatures. The Aurora's sensors detected a massive structure orbiting a dying red star, unlike anything in Federation records. The object was clearly artificial, built from materials that their instruments couldn't identify. It was enormous, easily the size of a small moon. With geometric patterns that hurt to look at directly, Lisa was on the bridge. When they first saw the structure on the main view screen, her reaction was immediate and dramatic. She collapsed to her knees, holding her head as if experiencing intense pain. But when Amy knelt beside her, Lisa was whispering technical specifications in languages that the universal translator couldn't recognize. "She's describing the internal structure," said Lieutenant Commander Roy Davis, the Aurora's science officer. "Somehow she knows what's inside that thing." Amy helped Lisa to her feet, but the woman's eyes remained fixed on the alien structure. "I've been here before," Lisa said quietly. "I remember walking through those corridors, touching those control panels. But that's impossible. This is the first time any Federation ship has traveled this far." The structure was sending out signals, complex mathematical transmissions that their computers were struggling to decode. Lisa listened to the patterns for only a few minutes before she began writing translations on a datapad. The message was simple but profound. The children of Earth must choose their path. The knowledge waits, but the cost is everything you believe about yourselves. "How can you translate that?" Amy asked. "Our best computers need days to crack alien languages, and you did it in minutes." Lisa looked up from her work, her eyes unfocused as if she were seeing something far away. "Because I understand the language. I've always understood it, even though I never learned it. These symbols, these mathematical concepts, they feel like memories from someone else's life." Dr. Ben ran medical scans on Lisa during one of her episodes and discovered something that should have been impossible. Her brain activity was showing patterns identical to the energy signatures coming from the alien structure. The quantum fluctuations that had brought them across the galaxy were somehow synchronized with Lisa's neural activity. "It's as if her brain is tuned to the same frequency as that structure," Ben explained to the senior staff. "She's not just detecting the signals, she's resonating with them on a neurological level." Amy made the decision to send an away team to investigate the structure, and Lisa insisted on being part of the group. "I need to go," she said. "Whatever that thing is. It's connected to me somehow. I can feel it calling." The away team took a shuttle to the structure's surface, where they found an entrance that opened automatically as they approached. The corridors inside were clearly designed for humanoid beings, with artificial gravity and breathable atmosphere. The architecture was beautiful but alien, with flowing curves and geometric patterns that seemed to shift when viewed from different angles. Lisa led the team through the structure as if she had memorized its layout. She knew which corridors to take, which doors would open, which areas were safe to explore. The others followed her in amazement, watching as she operated alien controls with perfect confidence. Amy said as they walked deeper into the structure, "You need to tell us the truth. How do you know this place?" Lisa stopped walking and turned to face her commander. Her expression was a mixture of confusion and growing understanding. "I think I'm starting to remember. This place, these technologies, they're not alien at all. They're human. Very, very old human." The central chamber of the ancient structure was vast beyond imagination. Lisa and the away team stood at the entrance, staring at walls covered with glowing symbols that pulsed with soft blue light. The room stretched upward into darkness, filled with floating platforms and crystalline displays that showed images of star systems and galaxies. Lisa walked forward without hesitation, her hands reaching toward a central console that seemed to be waiting for her touch. The moment her fingers made contact with the smooth surface, the entire chamber came alive. Light flowed through the walls like liquid, the air filled with a harmonic hum that resonated in their bones. Commander Amy Peterson raised her weapon, instinctively, but Lisa turned and shook her head. "It's not dangerous," she said, though her voice sounded different somehow, older and more confident. "It's welcoming us home." The walls began projecting images, holographic displays that showed the history of human civilization, but not the history Amy knew from Earth's records. These images showed humans with advanced technology millions of years ago, building cities that floated among the stars and ships that could travel between galaxies in seconds. "This is impossible," whispered Dr. Ben Clark, watching scenes of ancient humans working alongside the energy patterns they had detected. "Human civilization is only a few thousand years old. We barely reached space a few centuries ago." Lisa placed both hands on the console now, and her eyes began to glow with the same blue light as the walls. "We're not the first humans," she said, her voice echoing strangely in the vast chamber. "We're the children of humans who achieved something beyond physical existence. They left this place for us to find when we were ready." The holographic displays shifted, showing the rise and fall of the first human civilization. They had developed technology that allowed them to manipulate space and time itself. They could create matter from pure energy, travel instantly across the universe, and even transfer their consciousness between different forms of existence. Amy watched in amazement as the images showed first human cities that spanned entire solar systems. Their ships were living things, grown rather than built, that could adapt to any environment. Their people lived for thousands of years, their minds enhanced beyond anything modern humans could imagine. "But why did they leave?" asked Lieutenant Commander Roy Davis. "If they had all this power, what happened to them?" The displays changed again, showing something dark moving between the stars. It was hard to see clearly, but it appeared to be some kind of force or entity that consumed entire civilizations. The first humans called it the Void Hunger, a cosmic predator that fed on the life energy of advanced species. Lisa's connection to the console deepened, and knowledge began flooding into her mind. She saw the final days of the first human civilization. When they realized that the Void Hunger was approaching their territory, they had two choices: fight and be consumed, or transcend beyond physical existence where the hunger could not follow. They chose transcendence, Lisa said, her voice now carrying harmonics that didn't sound entirely human. They left their physical bodies behind and became beings of pure consciousness. But first, they planted seeds.
Oh.
The images showed first human scientists working on a special project. They were designing genetic codes, creating blueprints for future human generations. These new humans would carry dormant memories and abilities, waiting for the right moment to awaken. "You're one of the seeds," Amy realized, staring at Lisa as understanding dawned. "That's why nobody knows your origin. You weren't born naturally. You were designed." Lisa nodded, tears streaming down her face as memories that weren't her own filled her mind. "I was created to be a bridge. When humanity advanced enough to find this place, I would awaken and help them access the knowledge of the first humans. My entire life, my education, my brilliant insights, they were all programming." Activating according to plan, the console began projecting a three-dimensional map of the galaxy, showing the current positions of all known civilizations. The Zephyrians, Corvins, and dozens of other species were marked with different colored lights. But the map revealed something shocking. None of these civilizations were as old as they claimed to be. "The other species in the galaxy," Lisa said, reading information directly from the ancient database, "they're all younger than modern humanity. They evolved in the shadow of the first human civilization, on worlds that the first humans had prepared for life. The Zephyrians, Corvins, everyone we think of as our equals or superiors, they're actually our children." Ben stared at the galactic map in disbelief. "But they have technology we don't understand. They've been spacefaring for thousands of years. Longer than us, 'cause the first humans gave them help," Lisa explained. "Left guidance for the younger species, helping them develop faster than they would have naturally. But they saved the real knowledge for their own descendants. For us," the chamber began showing Lisa the full scope of what the first humans had left behind. Technologies that could reshape matter at the atomic level. Energy sources that could power entire galaxies. Methods of consciousness transfer that would make death meaningless. The knowledge to build ships that existed in multiple dimensions simultaneously. Amy felt overwhelmed by the implications. If we accept this inheritance, what happens to humanity as we know it? Lisa's connection to the console intensified, and her body began to change. Her skin took on a faint luminescence, and her eyes became pools of swirling light. When she spoke, her voice carried the wisdom of millions of years. "The first humans faced the same choice we face now. Accept transcendence and leave physical existence behind, or remain limited but essentially human. Most civilizations choose transcendence when they reach this point. Why some choose differently. The display showed what happened to civilizations that rejected the path of advancement. Most were eventually destroyed by cosmic forces they couldn't understand or defend against. The void hunger was still out there, moving slowly between galaxies, and it would eventually reach this region of space again. But there's a third option," Lisa continued, her enhanced mind accessing deeper levels of the first human database. "We can accept the knowledge but use it to protect rather than to transcend. We can become guardians for the younger species, helping them grow strong enough to face what's coming." Amy looked at her team, seeing the same mixture of wonder and fear in their faces that she felt in her heart. They had come looking for answers to mysterious energy signals, and instead they had discovered that humanity's entire understanding of its place in the universe was wrong. "The choice isn't just mine to make," Amy said. "This affects all of humanity, all the species in the galaxy. We need to return to Earth and let our leaders decide." Lisa smiled, but her expression was no longer entirely human. The knowledge of the first humans was changing her, making her into something new. "The choice has already been made," she said. "I am the choice. I was designed to carry this knowledge back to humanity and prepare them for what's coming. Question now is whether humanity will accept what I've become and what I can teach them." The ancient structure around them began to pulse with new energy, as if it were awakening after millions of years of sleep. Lisa had become its key, and through her, humanity would inherit the legacy of the first humans. But with that inheritance came responsibility for protecting an entire galaxy, from a threat that had driven the most advanced civilization in history to abandon physical existence entirely. 3 months after returning from the ancient structure, Lisa Kane stood before the Emergency Assembly of the United Earth Government. Representatives from every nation sat in the massive chamber beneath Geneva, their faces showing the strain of trying to understand information that challenged everything humanity believed about itself. Lisa looked different now. The transformation that had begun at the first human repository continued to change her.
Oh.
Her eyes held depths that seemed to contain starlight, and when she spoke, her words carried harmonics that resonated in listeners' minds long after she finished talking. She was still human, but she was becoming something more. President Helen Roberts of the North American Federation leaned forward in her chair. Dr. Kane, please explain again what you're asking us to choose between. Lisa's enhanced mind could see the genetic patterns in every person in the room. The dormant codes that the first humans had planted in human DNA millions of years ago. Each person carried the potential for transcendence, waiting for activation. First humans left us 3 paths, Lisa said, her voice carrying across the chamber without amplification. We can accept full transcendence and leave physical existence behind, becoming beings of pure consciousness like our ancestors. We can reject the inheritance entirely and remain as we are, accepting the limitations but keeping our essential humanity. Or we can choose a middle path that no previous civilization has attempted. Chancellor Maria Santos from the European Coalition stood up. And what is this middle path you mentioned? Lisa touched a control pad, and holographic displays filled the air above the assembly. Images showed the galaxy as it truly was, with human-influenced worlds and younger civilizations struggling to advance on their own. We accept the knowledge and technology, but we use it to guide and protect the younger species rather than to transcend beyond them. We become the galaxy's teachers and defenders, helping other civilizations grow strong enough to face cosmic threats without losing themselves in the process. The debate that followed split not just the assembly, but all of humanity. News of the discovery had leaked despite government attempts at secrecy, and protests filled the streets of every major city on Earth and its colonies. Some groups demanded immediate transcendence, believing it was humanity's destiny to join the first humans in their elevated existence. Others rejected any change, fearing that accepting alien knowledge would destroy human nature. Dr. Ben Clark had become one of Lisa's strongest supporters during the long months of discussion. He had seen her transformation firsthand and understood that she was becoming humanity's bridge to a larger universe. But even he struggled with the magnitude of the choice. Lisa, he said during one of their private conversations in her laboratory. Are you still you? When I look at you now, sometimes I see my friend, and sometimes I see something ancient and powerful that I don't recognize. Lisa smiled, and for a moment she looked like the quiet scientist who had arrived at Europa Station. Years earlier, I'm still me, Ben, but I'm also becoming who I was always meant to be. The memories and knowledge don't replace my experiences. They add to them. Remember growing up on Earth, learning to love science, making friends like you. But I also remember the dreams and hopes of the first humans, their fears about the void hunger, their desperate hope that their children would find a better way. Commander Amy Peterson had been promoted to admiral after her successful mission, and she found herself in charge of preparing humanity's military forces for whatever choice the government made. The knowledge Lisa shared about first human technology was revolutionary, offering weapons and defenses beyond anything currently possible. If we choose the middle path, Amy asked during a military briefing, what exactly are we protecting the galaxy from? You mentioned this void hunger, but our sensors haven't detected anything like what you described. Lisa's expression grew serious, and the lights in the room seemed to dim as her enhanced awareness reached out across space. It's still coming. The first humans' records show that it moves slowly between galaxies, taking millions of years to cross the void between them. Wait. It's getting closer to our region of space. The energy signatures we detected at the ancient structure were early warning signs. She activated a star chart that showed the void hunger's projected path. The dark presence was vast, consuming entire star systems as it moved through space. According to the first human calculations, it would reach the edge of their galaxy within 1,000 years. 1,000 years seems like a long time, said General Mark Thompson, head of Earth's Space Defense Force. Why should we worry about something our great-great-grandchildren might have to face? Because preparation takes time, Lisa replied. The first humans had millions of years to develop their technology, and even they barely escaped by transcending. If we want to protect this galaxy and all the life in it, we need to start building defenses now. The final vote came after 6 months of debate. Humanity chose the middle path by the narrowest possible margin, 51% in favor. It was a decision that would change not just human civilization, but the entire galactic community. Lisa became the first director of the Human Guidance Council, an organization dedicated to sharing first human knowledge with both humanity and younger alien species, working with enhanced humans like herself. She began teaching advanced technologies to carefully selected scientists and engineers from across the galaxy. The Zephyrians were amazed to learn that their logical thought patterns were based on mathematical principles the first humans had encoded into their evolutionary development. The Corvins discovered that their natural engineering abilities came from genetic modifications their ancestors had received millions of years ago. Every species in the galaxy had been influenced by humanity's transcended ancestors, but rather than feeling manipulated or controlled, most alien civilizations were grateful to finally understand their origins. They welcomed human guidance. Recognizing that their new teachers had access to knowledge that could benefit everyone, Lisa established training centers on dozens of worlds, where humans and aliens worked together to develop new technologies and prepare for the cosmic threats that lay ahead. The projects they began would take centuries to complete, but they were building defenses that could protect entire galaxies from forces like the Void Hunger. On quiet evenings, Lisa would stand on the observation deck of the primary research station and look out at the stars. Her enhanced senses could detect the subtle energy patterns that flowed between worlds, the quantum connections that linked all conscious life in the galaxy. She could feel the presence of the transcended first humans in those energy patterns. Watching over their descendants with pride and hope, they had chosen transcendence to escape an impossible threat, but their children had found a different path. Humanity would face the Void Hunger not by fleeing into pure consciousness, but by building a community of species strong enough to stand against cosmic darkness. The mystery of Lisa's origin had been solved, but it had revealed an even greater mystery about humanity's purpose in the universe. She had been brilliant, and now everyone knew not just who she was, but what she represented. She was the bridge between what humanity had been and what it was becoming. The architect of a galactic civilization built on cooperation instead of transcendence. The unknown woman had become humanity's greatest gift to the stars, would shine across the galaxy for millions of years to come.